So as most of you who watch Dirt Tracks know, I have tested a lot of different RMAX models. 2-seaters, 4-seaters. I've tested from the base model, the XTR, the limited American version, the sport model, the newest sport model. I've spent days and days in the desert on RMAXs. I have a really good handle on why I like the RMAX and why it appeals to me and the features that it has that really work for the type of riding that I do. But it's always nice to hear from people more like you guys who have made the decision to buy a vehicle, made the decision to buy an RMAX, and find out why you made that decision. What was it about this Yamaha vehicle that made you decide this is the one that fit the bill perfectly for what you wanted to do? So today, I actually have a close friend who bought an RMAX. Ryan is standing right here. Tell me what side-by-side you purchased and why that was your decision. Why did you pick that one?
So I bought the 2021 RMAX. I guess it would be the base model, 4-seater. Biggest reason was I've been waiting for someone to come out with a short wheelbase 4-seater with some suspension, and luckily it was Yamaha that did that.
So something that had 4 seats but was still maneuverable enough and could still traverse rocks and bumps and things like that, more than your typical mile-long 4-seater.
Exactly, yeah. Like most of the trails that I'm riding on are tight and technical, and it's nice to have the comfort of actually having some suspension underneath.
Now you said luckily it was Yamaha. Why did you want a Yamaha?
I've always, I mean, if it could be in Yamaha or made by Yamaha, then that would be the brand that I would go with. Dirt bikes, I mean, my generator's a Yamaha. What else? Yeah, like Yamaha is always tried and true.
Is it the brand, or is there something about the brand that makes you want to choose a Yamaha every time?
I feel like you can just rely on Yamaha. You know, it's always just going to come through.
Seems like everybody says the same thing when you ask them why they bought a Yamaha. It's because they know they can trust it, right?
Exactly, yeah. They're extremely overbuilt, I feel. And yeah, I mean, just coming out of the generator even, I know it's going to start every pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my machine, it's the RMAX, it's great.
Did you just say you have a pull start generator?
Yes, I do.
They have electric start generators now too, you know?
I'm not that fancy.
So you had a very specific set of requirements when you're buying your RMAX, and we've talked about this before, but let's talk about it again. What was it that made you choose a 4-seat RMAX? There's more than one reason that you wanted a 4-seat RMAX, and I thought some of your reasoning was actually kind of interesting and unique.
Yeah, so I mean, number one was I have an 11 and 8-year-old, and to be able to take them out with me if they want to go for a ride and not ride their 4-wheelers. And then also to be able to, you know, go to our camp and keep everything that's with you dry as
That was
well.
one that I'd never thought of before, but especially with the RMAX with the full roll cage.
It's great.
When you cover it, even if you're not putting people in the back, all of your stuff is covered. I thought that was really unique. I'd never thought about that before, and I think about this stuff a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. Everything is warm and dry, and you know, you don't have to wrap anything in plastic, and the trails we're going on, you're flinging mud everywhere, so it ends up on everything.
That was really smart. So when you went to buy a 4-seat RMAX, had you looked at the 2-seat at all? And if you had, what was it about the 2-seat that maybe drew you that direction, if there was any?
So I had a look at it, and it was, I mean, aside from being Yamaha and them coming out with a new machine, more crossover, you know, it had a lot more suspension, and the cargo box as well. So that kind of drew me to it. But then again, wanting the 4 seats and that short wheelbase just kind of drew me more to the 4-seater.
Okay, so today we had the opportunity to take out 2 brand new RMAXs. These are 2023s. They're the limited models. So for the first time in Canada, Yamaha has released RMAXs with IQS suspension. We didn't get that before. So these are top of the line, highest end models you can get in Canada. We have a 2 and a 4-seater, and this was your first opportunity to actually get a ride in the 2-seater. So after today, tell me first what you thought about the limited model. You've got a base model. What do you think about the limited model?
So the paint finishes are nicer. Interior, again, seats as well. The suspension settings, it's pretty cool to actually be able to switch that on the fly, as opposed to hopping out and choosing, whereas I just leave mine in the softest mode just for ease of using it. But after using the firmest setting on the trails that we were riding, it's such a noticeable difference.
And it's so nice to be able to just, when you want to go smooth, or if you're going to slow down and crawl,
exactly.
If you're going to go hard fast and want to hit some bumps, you can hit firm and you know that you're not going to get bucked all over the place.
Yeah, and it's a drastic difference too. Like cornering is night and day from full soft.
That was something both of us noticed, was going around corners in firm, it handled like drastically better even in the snow.
Yeah.
It
was really cool to see the differences.
So tell me what you thought of the 2-seater though, now that you've driven it. You own a 4-seater, you know what that's all about.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the 2-seater after driving it?
Yeah, so hands down, it's a much smoother ride than the 4-seater is. Handling wise, it's pretty similar, but I noticed the 4-seater wants to buck a lot over the whoops, whereas this one just kind of eats them up.
So you might like say, if you're going to be a sporty rider, like if that was your goal to ride faster and harder, obviously the 2-seater is going to be the better choice. That's not really a big surprise though, because like people don't really take 4 people and go hit huge jumps unless they're in a sport side by side.
Exactly, and I mean for majority of what we did today, I think the 4-seater worked just great. But it's just through some of the faster stuff that you notice the back end doesn't want to buck in this one like it did on the other.
I noticed exactly the same thing. I thought I was pretty impressed with how the 2-seater was different than the 4-seater, but also after you realize that there's 3 inches less travel in the back of this thing and you can haul your family, it's still pretty impressive that it can do what it can do, especially some of those rock ledges we crawled up and like some of the gnarly stuff we were doing today.
Yeah, it's such a capable machine, and it's honestly, it's such a smooth ride as well. It's just to see the difference, that the extra 3 inches is very noticeable.
Yeah. And so what type of riding do you do with your RMAX?
Majority of it is slow technical trails, like really a lot of rock and water, not much mud. Run down the road to get to the trails that we're headed on, and then you probably average of like 15 kilometers an hour.
So high speed ride quality and handling aren't really that important to you?
No, they're not.
So after riding the limited full jam and yours being sort of more the base model, how do you feel about your decision to buy a base model? Why did you pick that one? And how do you feel about it now that you've tried something that was more top shelf?
I have a problem and always seem to modify things. So I knew out of the gate that I was going to put different wheels and tires on it. I threw tender springs in it. That has a full soft cab heater. So I knew I was going to mess around and do various things. So buying the limited really didn't make that much of a difference.
Especially not when the limited didn't have electric suspension.
Exactly.
Now that it does.
Where that would be one thing that I would, if I could go back, that would be a pretty cool feature to have.
Okay, so can we summarize this whole situation by saying that after riding both, you'd still pick your 4-seater. That's not going to change, but you might bump up a level in terms of like package?
Yeah. I mean, depending on, the cost, if it makes sense, for sure. Because I know the wheels and tires, I'd probably still go and throw 32s on there. I mean, if the option was there for the suspension, I'd definitely do it.
So after this ride today, we put on, 40 kilometers, so like just under 30 miles. Would you make the same decision that you made? Would you buy another Yamaha RMAX? Are you glad you did? Would you buy the 4-seater again if you had it to do over? And if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, I still think competition-wise, there isn't a single short wheelbase 4-seater out there that touches this thing. I absolutely would buy the same machine over again. I think it's great. It's a nice comfortable ride, and tons of power. It's great.